Hello and welcome to the Make and Decorate podcast. This is season 3, episode 62, originally aired on December 17, 2020. How do you like the holiday intro music? I was feeling a bit festive and I really love this music. It is called "'Tis the Season" by Nate Blaze, and so pretty. It just, when I hear it, I just envision like a wooded forest with pine trees, evergreens, and delicately falling snowflakes. So that kind of gives me sort of like a vision of a peaceful winter day. So I really think you're going to enjoy today's episode. It's really a good one. I have a returning guest, Sophia from My Great Challenge. But first, let's chit chat. So first of all, I want to let you know that today's episode is the mid-season, finale, you could call it. It's not the season finale, of course, but I'm going to take a break like I do every end of the year. Although this one, I'm extending it through January. So we'll be back the beginning of February. But I may pop in maybe sometime in January with just a little episode. So I will just play it by ear. But I will be busy in January recording with some more guests. And of course, if you are a patron, your monthly bonus episodes will continue. And I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons and for your continuing support. It really does mean the world to me, and it really does make a difference in helping the podcast go on. So I am so thankful for you, and I hope that you're enjoying the bonus monthly episodes. And while I'm on the topic of thank yous, I have to thank everyone listening, everyone who subscribes to the podcast. And if you tell your friends about it, that is so supportive for the podcast. And it's wonderful. I just am blown away when I do look at the stats. Because especially when I'm feeling kind of down and I start getting melodramatic on myself of why am I doing all of this work? Nobody is listening. Well, you are listening, and it is amazing. I am astounded at how many different countries that people listen from those countries to this little bitty podcast of mine. It really just lifts my spirits and makes me want to get back at it and give you guys the best show that I can possibly do. So thank you. And you know what else I'm thankful for? When this publishes on the 17th, there will be only 3 more days until winter solstice. Yay, yay, yay. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because it gets dark so early. I know everyone's experiencing this in the Northern Hemisphere, but anyway, if you're like me, you are counting down to winter solstice just as I am. All right, so I have been a busy little sewing elf in the past few weeks. So I've been doing sewing and making gifts with quick little projects, and it has been a lot of fun. It has really, sewing definitely is therapeutic for me. I know it's cathartic, and which is one of the reasons why I have to do it. It just fills me with accomplishment, joy. And last weekend we were hit with like a pretty brutal winter storm here, and it was ugly, ugly weather, but I hardly noticed it because I was all cozied up in my sewing studio, busy making stuff that I barely had time to even notice the crappy weather outside. I mean, I did notice because places around me, like within hours distance, got this beautiful snowfall. And here in Chicago, we got the slushy, icy rain snow. And that's not pretty at all. All right, so what was I so busy making? Well, I have been making a bunch of the fabric bowl cozies. I used the Gypsy Quilter template, and I am so glad that I bought the pre-cut batting in advance because it is nowhere to be found now. I was going to get a couple more packs because they're sold in a pack of 8, which makes four bowls, cozies, and everywhere is sold out of them. So I'm not the only one that enjoyed the pre-cut batting pieces. They really do. They really save a lot of time. So I don't know when they're going to get back in stock, but if you see some, snag them up because they are hard to find now. And then, I did do a video of me making bowl cozies, and I posted it on my YouTube channel, so you can go check that out. I don't know, it's not a full tutorial, but I kind of go through the process of how I made these bowl cozies. And my YouTube channel name is my name, Stephanie Socha, Socha. And then I made a fabric soft baby book from a panel. I've had this panel actually for a few years, and I suddenly remembered that I had not made that. So it was perfect. It's such a fast make, but these fabric panels, sometimes, well, they're just, not always printed straight, or the grain kind of gets skewed. So I kind of had to pull a little bit to get it so that I could cut a semi-straight line around the outline of the pages. And then the other thing I noticed is that I read the instructions completely, and it said 1/4 inch seam, unless otherwise noted. There was no other seam allowances noted. So I did the 1/4 inch, and they have the page numbers printed in little black ink that I don't think are supposed to show. But they did. They kind of sort of half showed and half didn't show. And I didn't really like that, but I didn't notice it until after I had completely sewn one full page unit, and I just did not want to rip that out. So I was looking at it and I thought, you know what? The baby is not going to know any different. So it's just going to stay as it is. However, if I were to make another one of these template soft baby books, I would probably do a 3/8 inch seam allowance. All right. And then I also decided to make fabric balls for my little nephew. He's about 16 months old, and he loves playing with, anything he can find, especially balls. He just loves throwing them and playing with them, and he's teething, so he'll kind of chew on them. And he always goes to Cooper's toy box. I have a little box of Cooper's toys and bones and stuff, and he just pulls out all of those balls and plays with them. So I thought, well, let me make him a set of 3 balls, and I'm going to fill them with little shakers so they make noise, and bells. So they turned out really cute. I'm not done yet because, of course, I come up with these ideas like off the cuff at the last minute. And so I had to find these rattle inserts and bell inserts. So I found some on Amazon, and they just came in. I'm recording this on Tuesday. So they came in last night. So I'm ready now. I can fill up the balls and stitch them closed, and they're really, really cute. I actually drafted these myself. I pulled out my protractor from my design school days. I saved a lot of my design school supplies. I still remember my first semester, and they sent this huge list of supplies that we had to get, and let me tell you, it was an investment. So I'm hanging on to those radiograph pens and the protractor and the Prismacolor markers, which still work today. Yeah, I'm so glad because they're expensive. So anyway, I drafted 3 sizes, a small, a medium, and a large that will fit nicely in his little hands. And they're so, so cute. When I get them done, I'll photograph them and hopefully they'll be in the show notes. All right, so the Mandalorian quilt. I finally finalized a design that I'm happy with. And I tried the pixel, but I couldn't simplify it enough to have it, um, you know, quick to make, yet have enough detail where you could actually recognize that it is a Mandalorian. So I went back to applique and I did this in Procreate. And I sketched and traced, and then I enlarged it to scale and printed it out and taped all the pages together so it's nice and big. And so all I have to do is, start putting together the applique layers of all the different colors of the parts and the pieces. And then it's going to be appliqued onto a whole cloth background. So I'm making it hopefully as simple as I can, yet with enough detail that it's going to look really super cute. So I will at minimum have the top done, but I'm still going to try to get the whole quilt. It's a throw size quilt, so I'm hoping that I can get it all finished. I have a few days off next week, so that is the plan. And one more thing that I did, which is so cool, I am so proud of myself. I replaced a zipper in a jacket. Yes, I replaced a zipper for the first time. My husband, it's like a sweatshirt jacket, but it's still a jacket with a lining, thermal lining and everything. So I happened to have the right size zipper and in the larger, sports type zipper size that you need for that. So I did a research on YouTube and I found there are 2 different ways that this can be done. Of course, the one way is probably the proper and right way to do it, but it's a lot more steps and I think requires a bit more precision. And then the other way is the way that I was thinking of how that would be how I would do it. And I saw it being done on a down winter coat and it looked pretty good. So I thought, great, I'm going to do this shortcut way and it'll be fine. And it worked. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, this is crazy. I cannot believe I'm doing something for the first time here. And it's like clothing related, which I'm not like super great at. And I got it right the first time. Yay. So it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And I think the hardest part is just like unpicking the existing zipper and seeing all of those layers opened up. And then you get this little short panic of like, oh my gosh, I hope I can fix this. But then I just slid the new zipper in between the layers with the seams folded down, kind of sandwiched it together and stitched it in. Yeah, it turned out. So I was really happy about that. So now looking ahead at this last week we have before the holidays, I'm thinking of all the things that, all those last minute things that you forget about, like wrapping all of the gifts. That takes some time. So I've got to kind of fit that in. And I also have to decant and print out the labels to the bottles of vanilla that I have been making. Oh, the big jar looks so good. It's really like a deep, rich brown. I'm so glad that I started that back in early October. So it looks really good. So yeah, I've got, some things that have to be done beforehand. So hopefully, I don't know. It's always like this for me though. I'm always getting into like this last minute crunch. Yeah, I don't think I remember any time where like a week before Christmas I was like, "Oh, I am done with everything. I've got everything wrapped. Everything's good to go. Everything is done. No, that's not my life. So anyway, but I am trying to be more organized about it, and I don't feel the squeeze of the stress on me this year, which is good. Great. Because I think I've made a conscious effort to try to not do that, because there is so much other stress that we've all been feeling this whole year anyway. So why add to it on silly little, holiday pressures? So I hope you all are, having a good and fun holiday season as best as you can, and that you are happy with the gifts that you've been making. I'm sure that they are all so beautiful and gorgeous, and everyone will love and enjoy what you've made for them. All right. And I almost forgot to tell you about this, but I have made some updates to my website. And so if you see something glitchy or weird or anything, you can feel free to let me know, because I use Squarespace, which uses templates. So it's kind of like a DIY website. And I'm not a web developer by any means. So I worked on this a lot last week, and I have added to my shop, because before I only had design consult services in there. But now I've added a handmade section to the shop, and I did make some tea towels that are holiday themed, which I know is super duper late right now, but I'm just still going to pop them in there and see how it goes. But that's what's going on with my website and my addition of a shop. I am very new at the online commerce, and I'm just starting off with this shipping third-party integrated program into the website. So yeah, I just am slowly getting used to it. But just if you're on the newsletter list, then when I add some new things to the shop, I'll let you know. And I also will be adding a patterns section as well. And in fact, I think I'm going to make those little 3 sizes of the fabric balls into a pattern, in case, because if you don't want to, get out your protractor and do all this geometry with the drawing of the round symmetrical ball pattern pieces, I have it. So I'm going to put it in a little pattern and put it up there. All right. So you can go to my website. I have 2 domains that go to the same website. So you can go to makeanddecorate.com, or you can go to stephaniesochadesign.com, whichever is easiest and that you remember. They both go to the same website. Okay, so I just made an executive decision to put the rest of the recording of the segment 1 into its own little episode for next week, because it was just getting too long, and I recorded it, so I might as well publish it to you guys next week. It is about what I've been watching, which is a lot of stuff. There's a lot of new shows that have come out, and since I have been making a lot of stuff in my sewing studio, I've had all of those channels on Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus. So I'll release that in a little episode next week. All right. So now we can get to my conversation with Sophia from My Great Challenge. All right, everyone. I am so happy to welcome back Sophia from My Great Challenge to the show today. Hello, Sophia.
Hello, Stephanie. Thank you for having me back.
I am really happy to have you back. I just continue to watch your channel regularly, And I know a lot of my listeners are watching your channel as well. So we have a lot to talk about. But real quickly, for any new listeners, you can go back to the episode, I believe it's 55, I posted in August. I reposted our conversation, and you can learn all about the introductory information about Sophia. But we're going to pick up today just from where we left off. So just, I will give a quick, just a intro about your channel. Is all about home management, and it includes DIY projects around the house, cooking, cleaning, gardening, sewing and quilting, and, anything else that comes along. Like even recently you did a review on the Madison hair color product.
Right.
So, yeah. So it's wonderful.
And thrifting.
Yes, and thrifting. That's right. So, yeah, and then also your family is so supportive of your channel, and I've seen them sort of kind of coming into your videos more and more over the year, which is really fun. I enjoy seeing that. And it's really funny when you cook some things and then you ask your oldest son to taste it, and he's just like,
right. Well, there was a long period of time where he didn't want to be on camera at all. Teenage boys between the age of 14 and 17, pretty much everything embarrasses them.
Right.
And then something clicks at 18 and they don't care anymore.
Oh, great.
So he doesn't mind. Yeah. So Willie now is reaching the age where he's starting to get embarrassed.
Oh.
So we're not going to see Willie too much.
Oh, no. He's the cutest. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I know. We'll wait another 4 years and then we'll get enough of him.
Yeah. So let's talk about the DIYs this past year, because throughout the summer, and actually last year, you had said something that's stuck in my mind, where you said if, you could, be something in a different field, it would be a contractor. And the projects that you've done this year, you definitely are suited for that. I mean, I am astonished and amazed at everything that you and your family have accomplished throughout the summer. So let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, I think it started with like your garden, and you built this beautiful enclosure and the gate. And it's beautiful, and you had a beautiful garden as well.
Right. Well, for so many years now, we've been in this house for about 10 years. I really focused on the indoors. I had no idea what to do with the outdoors. And one of the issues that we have in this area, I'm in the burbs of New Jersey. I'm only 9 miles away from Newark and 11 miles away from New York City. And believe it or not, we have deer, we have bear, we have raccoon, we have skunks, we have all sorts of critters, rabbits, you name it. And I really couldn't grow anything in the front or in the back, because anytime I had something growing, they would come and destroy it. So I had attempted in the past to have a vegetable garden, because I grew up with vegetable gardens. My mom is a gardener. My grandmother was a gardener. Her grandfather was a gardener. So we always had fresh vegetables. We had a vineyard, tiny vineyard. All right, don't go imagine like, we're talking maybe 20, trees. That's it. Enough to make a little batch. But I always grew up with plants and gardening, and we call it scratching the dirt, and we just enjoy that. That's something, nature is appealing to us. My mom still has a garden in Paris, which is one of the rare commodities that you can get over there. So she has a tiny garden. It's not big, but she enjoys it, and it's in my blood, I guess. So I've attempted in the past to have a vegetable garden, but it looks good for about maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and it looks like it's growing. And then one morning you wake up and it's leveled because a whole family of deer showed up overnight and destroyed everything. So the scavenger rabbits get the leftovers, I guess, and that's it for the season. So this year I decided, you know what, I'm done. I really want a garden, but I need to fence it in. I need to have a 4-foot fence around it. And I put some plans together on paper first, went on the internet, looked at how people were making simple enclosures, because it is simple. I know it looks complicated, but it's really not. It's a wooden enclosure with chicken wire around it and a banister on top. That's it. It's the basic garden enclosure, but I built it myself. It took me about a month. And from there, it just started to grow. I decided to finish the property. So I did some flower beds. The biggest project, if you remember, is the trench.
Yes. Yep.
That separates the garden. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to give you listeners a background. I live in the middle of a hill, the slope downward. And we have, which is called First Mountain, where I live. And then there's a valley and then the second mountain. We're 500 feet above sea level, which means that this area gets a lot of snow and a lot of water compared to the rest of the area surrounding Essex County, New Jersey. So when anybody gets 3 inches of snow, we get about 8. Okay. But it's pretty much the same thing with rain. And to double down on the water disaster, also have a natural source in the back of the property that runs from the top of First Mountain all the way into the valley to be a tributary to the Peckman River. And then eventually that goes to the Passaic River. So every time it rains, I get the water from the rain coming from all of my neighbors who are above me, that literally runs through my entire yard. And then I get the source that swells up and runs through my entire yard. And because the soil has a lot of clay, the water pretty much goes nowhere. So at the back of my property, I had a swamp for many, many years. I couldn't do anything. Even 5 or 6 days after a big downpour, you would go in the back and your shoes would sink in 5 inches into the ground. So I couldn't do anything. And I've decided this is it. I got to do French drains. So to separate the garden, the vegetable garden, from the rest of the property, because I have all the downpour from the driveway and all of the 4 houses above me, all of the water coming into my yard, I had to build a French drain. And that's about maybe 25 feet long with a 50-gallon drum at the end. And it's filled up with gravel and it's saved the yard. And I did the same thing in the back. And it saved the yard. So now I have flower beds ready to be planted. And I finally have a yard that's going to look like something. It's going to be beautiful next year.
Beautiful. Yes, yes. And, when you were first putting it in and digging the huge trench and then filling it with the gravel, you could have just left it like that, but it just would not have looked as good as it really does now. I mean, you really did like landscape architecture, and you made it organic curves with the little, what do you call those? The little...
Oh, the rubber edges?
Yeah, right. The edging. And and you planned in the, flowers and perennials and other things. And it really turned out beautiful.
And we have an apple tree now. And,
and the fig tree.
And a fig tree. I'm very happy with the secret garden. This is an area that's stuck between the fence and the deck. And there was really nothing I could do in there because it's partial shade. But there was a downspout from the house. So when it rains, the water would just get there. So I did a mini trench there too. And I did that organic curve with flower beds on either side, and it's almost reminiscing of a Japanese garden a little bit. And I want to give it a little bit of an Asian flair. I have some ideas about it, getting maybe like some Asian water fountain or maybe like a Buddha type. It's going to be really, really nice. But like everything else, it's a work in progress. I find that it's very easy to hire a landscaper and drop a ton of money, and in one weekend, they landscape your whole place.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really their design.
It
It's their
is.
idea.
And it really
Right.
is not affordable to like 99% of us.
Right. And that's one of the issues that I have. I mean, living in the burbs in New Jersey, it's like everybody's got landscapers, but everybody's yard looks the same. They all have the
Right.
same plants, they
Yep.
all have the same trees, they all have the same semi curve in the front, and it's almost like standard out of the box type landscaping, and I'm taking my time. I know people don't think that there's a lot of thought going on in the process, but I'm really thinking about it all the time. I come back from work, I take a tour of my garden every single night for about 10 minutes, and I think and I visualize. What is this going to look like once it's planted? What do I want to plant in addition? What colors is it going to be? Do I want this kind of height? I want a mix of high, medium, and low. Where would I put the low? And where's the sun? And how much sun am I getting on this side? I'm really thinking about it
Mm-hmm.
because long term, I want a permanent garden that is exactly what I want, and I'm willing to wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
I can be very patient.
Well,
You know that?
and you say that people don't think it. I mean, I don't, I can't speak for everybody else, but that's the one thing that I did think. I thought that you put a lot of thought into this and you
Mm.
paid attention to the details, which makes all the difference in the world. And you figured out, I don't even, before you said it, I don't even know what a French drain is. So, uh,
It's a necessary addition to any backyard on my block. I'm the last one to install it. The only difference that I did it myself, but
yeah.
pretty much everybody had to have one. And it's funny because every time that somebody builds an addition
Uh-huh.
on my row, it pushes the source a little bit away from me. And we got a new guy who bought a house 2 doors down, well, 2 doors up actually, and he built an addition with a new basement. And guess what? He moved the source another 2 feet away from me. So now the source is actually on my on the neighbor's side behind me, which is great. I have even less water than before.
Oh, good.
So I put in the drain, and now I have even less water. Win-win.
Yes, very good. Yeah, and I also like that white gravel that contrasts with the color in the yard and the garden too. I
Yeah.
just everything, but just the way that you did these videos and progression were very interesting. I got very interested in it. It's something like all this stuff that you did on the outside of your home is stuff that I'm not familiar with. So I like watching and learning because some of that stuff has to be done in my house. My exterior is like, we won't even go there. But yeah, you figure this stuff out. You sealed up some cracks, I think, around your foundation of the house.
Right.
I'm like, how does she just do this? And it turns out.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're learning. I got to be honest, I'm learning too because I really have most of the stuff I've done this year. I've never done it before. So I'm just hanging on by the edge of my seat here as I'm doing it. But I'm just filming the process. And really the idea behind it is not so much to teach people because I really don't think I bring anything new to the plate. I mean, there's a ton of videos about this stuff. I'm trying to show women of any age not to be afraid to tackle projects themselves. I mean, we've been conditioned for so many, many years to just either hire or wait for somebody to do it for us. And there's no reason for that. We can do it. We can do it ourselves, and we can do it just as well or good enough. And it serves the same purpose. Like it's a matter of eliminating the fear and the stigma that we are not capable of doing those things.
Right, right. Yeah, and the fear of just not knowing, so I'm not even going to attempt it. And
Right.
also walking into a home store can be intimidating, and especially if you are a woman. So, But yeah, I just I think it does give people confidence and
Mm-hmm.
ideas. Definitely gives
Right.
us
I hope so.
ideas for sure. I mean, everything from what we just talked about to, oh, I loved it when you painted your front porch, the floor.
Mm.
That and the before and the after, and you brought in you eliminated a lot of stuff, and then you made a little seating area, and it was just so lovely. It really, and you really didn't do that much. It was just
No.
freshening
Right.
up the paint. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out
And
beautiful.
yeah, and it yeah, and this is it's become a functional space now.
Yeah.
It's pretty. We enjoy, even in the winter. Now it's getting cooler. On days where there's not a lot of wind, we can still sit on the front porch and really enjoy the last 2 hours of sunshine with a jacket, but drinking coffee and looking on our phones. And it allows us to spend some time with the neighbors and say hello to people, chit chat. And it's become almost like a social rendezvous for us.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now that everybody's confined with this COVID pandemic. It's the perfect setup because you can talk to people and you still have the distancing. So you get to be more social when before we would just avoid being on the porch altogether. So it's brought in some good positive things. A lot of people complain and they have COVID fatigue and all of that, but you have to look at what you've gained from it. And for us, it's really gaining, a lot of new social opportunities that we didn't have before. And it's only because we've really fixed up the front porch and it came at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because we
absolutely.
did it during the lockdown. So
Yeah,
I think, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then, you also did your staycations, which I think also helped you really show us a lot more than maybe we normally might not have gotten on maybe your regular video schedule. Because you do work full time.
Yes, I
You
do.
are a working professional full time, and you
Mm-hmm.
also have a very popular YouTube channel where you post very regularly, multiple times a week.
At least
So,
twice a week. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's really amazing. And so I loved it. I loved your staycation. You did two staycations, one in the earlier summer and one in the almost in the fall, late summer.
Right.
And
Right.
it was so much fun. So I really enjoyed that. And the most recent outdoor project you've done is your garage door repair.
Yeah.
And again, the before and the after is so cool to see.
But it's just paint.
I know you painted it and you cleaned the windows and you added that little flashing on the bottom of the door.
Right, to repair that hole.
Yeah. Now I do know about that because we just did that to our garage door last year. So, but I didn't do it. My husband did. And you're so right about that because I watch you do this and I'm like, oh, you know what? I could do that the next time if we, need it again. I would know
Right.
how to do it. And then there was the garage door is wood and there was just a little hole in one of the panels. And the way you fixed it, again, it was, simple but brilliant and made it look brand new once you painted it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm very happy with the garage doors because, we redid the siding last year at around this time. It was right before Thanksgiving. I remember that. And, when the garage was old and shabby and the paint on the garage was old and shabby, it was kind of like going together. It was like everything was old and shabby. But once you get everything sided and you redo the frame around the garage, now all you see is the garage doors. Which haven't been painted. And Scott is telling me that we should look at pictures from when we purchased the home. And he's fairly certain that the garage doors were already needing paint 11 years ago. And so you can imagine from the time we purchased the home, with the kind of weather I've been telling you we get here on the top of my hill, the damage on the garage doors over the past 10 years. So once we sided the garage with the rest of the house, they became such an eyesore. And that's the one thing I see from the bay window in my kitchen. So I had these two garage doors staring at me, begging me to be repainted for Lord knows how many years. And I really procrastinated it. This is like one of those projects that I really had, not that I had no intention to do it, but I could always find another new project as an excuse to not tackle the garage. But, this year I said, I got to do it. Enough. I got to do this. And I did it. And I'm very happy because it looks great in the sunshine. So bright and white. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's so pretty. And then against your newly, whatever you, the driveway.
Top?
Yeah, the blacktop.
Yeah, we did that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So the outdoors are great. So now we moved inside. And we'll talk about this other thing you did when we get to that topic of the corningware, because you did a really cool project with that too. But let's switch over to sewing and quilting, because this is such a dichotomy of yours that you enjoy, like, home improvement projects, working with tools and concrete and all this other stuff, yet you've developed a really strong love for quilting, which I love too. So I have that in common with you. I mean, quilting is my thing. This is, and that's kind of like, I think about it and I'm like, well, it's just that, like, Sophia's very, has great willpower, and you plan things out and you stick to it. And I know too, maybe having a channel motivates you to keep your schedule like that as well. But for me, I would be like, paint the garage door. No, I'm going to go quilt. I'm going inside. So, I applaud you for that you really like, but then when you're ready to quilt and sew, you tell everybody in the family, I'm going to sew. I'm going to quilt.
Leave me alone.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where if I go downstairs and I plop myself behind the machine and I start a new project, and I know there's other things that need to be done, and I'm not talking about cleaning because I hate that. I'm talking about like projects, like something that needs to be repainted, something that needs to be built, something that's just, it's like the elephant in the room. I feel a horrible sense of guilt being downstairs and quilting. And I say to myself, like, I have no business doing this right now. I have so many other things that need to be addressed, either outside or inside the house. So I find that if I am not productive and feeling like I've accomplished something outside of my sewing area, when I get to my sewing area, I don't enjoy it as much. Like, I really consider the sewing and the quilting as a reward.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it. Like, I really deserve my me time right now because I worked hard all, let's say an entire weekend. I only got 2 hours left before the end of the weekend, and I deserve this time, and I can really relax and enjoy it. I don't have something hanging over my shoulder as I'm, pushing my fabric through the machine that, I have no business being here right now. I should really be fixing that shelf or that curtain that fell, or, I just need to go down in the basement with a clear mind. And this is when it really becomes my happy place.
Oh, good.
Because I have no anxiety. I have no guilt. I'm just really it's just me and the machine and the fabric, and I can really enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So I look at it as a privilege and a reward.
It shows.
To be able to go down there.
Yeah, you definitely are very happy when you're down there, and it exudes, and it's kind of it's infectious to, I think, your viewers. But you're funny though, because sometimes you say, okay, if you're not into the quilting, you can like stop the video here or whatever. But do you get comments like that? Do a lot of people just don't care for it, or?
Oh yeah. Really? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, There's some people who are, but that's why I try not to. I'm trying right now to integrate the quilting and the sewing, unless I do an actual project like like the blouse that I made, right?
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
But when I do when I do quilting, I know that a lot of people sew but don't quilt, and they're not interested in quilting. So instead of doing separate quilting videos, what I've been doing lately is that I just integrate them into the back end of something else. So I would say, okay, I'm done with this, but stick around if you're interested in quilting. That's coming up next. If not, I say goodbye now. And that has been working, because there's some people who just stop the video now because they're not interested in quilting. And I think it's the majority of the folks who actually watch my quilting also watch the rest of my channel. So they get, two things they enjoy watching at the same time. And those who are not into quilting still get what they want. So nobody's left out.
Right, right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like that you do incorporate it with other things too. I think it's just for me it's like the whole like entire kind of like, you get your cake and eat it too. For me, that is, because I quilt and I sew, so I like seeing that.
And I think it introduces quilting to people, because some people who they're not sure if they want to try it, but I don't think that they would actually go and click on the standalone quilting video. But if they watch, let's say it's a cleaning and organizing video, and they really, really enjoyed it, they may stick around because they are intrigued by quilting for the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the video. And I'm just hoping I give them the bug, really.
Yeah.
I want everybody to quilt.
I know, me too.
Everybody to quilt. Everybody needs to get a machine and start quilting, or making their own garments, or making like, zippered pouch. It doesn't matter. So that's really what I'm trying to do is introduce quilting and sewing in small doses, so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel like something that's unattainable. I believe everybody can start it. Everybody can learn. I've learned. I'm self-taught.
I know. Yeah.
I don't think I have any more skills than the next girl.
Well, and I've seen videos that you've done, like where you've made bags or a purse, and you have said like, I'm learning to do this, so you're learning with me, and I like to see that. And you go through like those directions, like if it's a butterick or something. I mean, those are a lot more complicated to work through.
Right.
So, and then you made this beautiful blouse this summer, and I like the way that you pieced it out. It was like, maybe like a 4 or 5 part, and you just completed like a certain task with it, where then you could pick up on the next, thing the next time you sewed. And I think that's also kind of catchy for people who are interested in it. And when it's broken down into digestible pieces like that, it's less intimidating. So
absolutely. And that's exactly why I did it that way. There's so many sewing videos where the teacher, or the presenter, very obviously they know what they're doing, and they're talking to a group of viewers who also know what they're doing. So they almost have this, inferred knowledge that escapes most of us who are not familiar. So a lot of those videos, I'm just like, I don't understand. Like, it feels like there's a step missing in between what she just showed and what we're on now. And sure enough, they are missing steps. They just don't tell you.
Right.
Because they just assume you know what's going on. But me, I need to... When I'm showing sewing, because I am learning myself, I want everybody to see all the steps. Because these are the steps you're going to go through yourself. If they are missing in other videos, by the time you get to that step, on your own, you're going to become frustrated, lost, and you're going to feel like you're just no good, and you'll give up. And I don't want people to give up. So I know it feels redundant. I know that sometimes it's like excruciating details, but I want people to get familiar with the terms, with what goes on, and what it takes to make a garment, and realize that it's really not that complicated, and they can do it.
And actually, this year, because of COVID and the pandemic and people staying home, sales of sewing machines have soared. People have dusted off their old sewing machine and brought it out of the closet, and a lot of people are picking it up now, and they're sewing and they're quilting, teaching their kids. I just had my niece over a couple weekends ago, and I've been teaching her since she was 5. She's 12 now. So, and she still likes it. So I'm so happy and excited to keep teaching her that. But I've also was very happy just to hear that, some of the good things that are coming out of this year that is all doom and gloom. That's another good thing. I count that as a really good thing. I mean, people were baking bread. I thought that was really cool. And people have to, do a lot more cooking. So
families getting closer, even though we are more apart physically. A lot of people started doing Skype. They weren't doing that before because they were taking the family member for granted. But now they're doing Skype, and then you got families that became tighter. And I think overall, children have benefited from having parents at home. I know my kids have. My little guy really, really enjoyed having, being home. And granted, Scott has been, unemployed, that since March now. But I can see it. There's a bond between him and William that was not there last year. Because Scott has been home and William has been home, and he's rediscovering his dad. So it's one of those things, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's doom and gloom, and it's been a horrible year. 2020, can't wait to get it over with.
Right.
I'm ready to move on so many levels. But you have to look at the positive. You got to look at what you've gained from it. And for my family, we gained a lot. We really have. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. So going back to the sewing, though, a couple more things. So the second thing that you just recently completed, because you finished the quilting on it and the binding, is the Halloween runner that you made for your friend.
I'm giving it to her Saturday, actually, this Saturday.
So cool. Oh, my gosh.
I can't wait. She has no clue either. I never told her.
This is so exciting.
It's going to be really, really cool. Yeah.
I love it. I love the colors because purple is one of my favorite colors. But I thoroughly enjoyed that series and how you did that. But the one thing that I just was so glad that you filmed this was the trouble with your machine, and how you worked through it, and how, you did everything that you're supposed to do. Rethread it, change your needle, do all this stuff before you're just like, oh, it doesn't work,
Right.
Or, so you worked through all of that, and it still wasn't working, and you kept doing these test pieces, and you were showing how the stitches were looking, and then I think you said you spoke with your mom, and she was like right away, it's a timing issue.
Right.
And then you took it in.
Which I thought it was. Yeah, I took it in, and it took about 7 days, and all it needed was a factory reset. And that's one of the problem with those machines that have computers in them. And mine is really not that sophisticated. It's really a basic brother machine. That's all he needed to do, because the machine was clean. I had just cleaned it. I cleaned it in between projects, so I know the machine didn't have like dust and all sorts of crazy stuff inside. But those computerized machines need to be reset, factory reset, once in a while. Some people do it every year. It was not very expensive. It's not super affordable either. It was, but then again, I'm in New Jersey, so it's probably more money than other states. It was about $109.
Well, that's what it is here too. Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
We're both in metropolitan areas, so.
Yeah. So, they sucker you into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if there is anything that people could walk away with from that particular video is the patience that you need to have. I don't think we've discussed that, but with my job, I'm actually the designated crisis intervention person because I am very calm in times of crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I actually shut down to the point where I become almost emotionless when there's a major crisis going on, because I just need to be able to deal with the crisis and not panic everybody. I know that a lot of folks get behind the machine and get so frustrated that they almost want to take the machine and throw it out the window and quit forever. Mm-hmm. And they're done with it. There's cursing going on. They just, but it's for what? What's the point? Mm-hmm. Where are you going with this? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to show that, look, it's not working. Try this, try that. If it's still not working, you're going to have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And for me, the decision was, I got to bring it in.
Yep.
That's it. What's the point of, prolonging the frustration of the machine not working when you've attempted everything could possibly be a problem? I'm not going to run in circle for 2 hours trying to figure out something. That's the insanity part, right?
Right.
Doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results. Mm-hmm. So I just decided, okay, it's not working out, not today. So let's bring it to the store, and that's it.
But you did show what the possible things could be wrong. And like you said, patiently work through it so that, because a lot of times timing is like kind of a rare issue, I think. I mean, once in a while you end up with it, but lots of times it's you threaded it and it didn't get into the tension lever. Mm-hmm. Or, the bobbin is wonky somehow, or the needle needed to be changed because there's skip stitches. So that I thought was really good that you showed that, because it could be any one of those things first. And then when it wasn't, then you take it in.
You take it in. That's it. I mean, what are you going to do? You don't need to have a major crisis down in the basement. Yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's an inconvenience. That's basically what it is. And I think that majority of the time we look at inconvenience and think they are crisis. And it's just what it was. It was an inconvenience. But I tell you what, though, the one thing that was really puzzling to me was that there were some threads that were doing okay. Mm-hmm. And then I would change to a different thread, and I wouldn't touch the tension at all. And that particular thread would do either better or totally worse. And that really got me puzzled. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was the pink thread. I remember. The pink thread did good.
The pink thread was doing really good. And the pink thread was doing better if I had the gray thread in the bobbin. It was very puzzling. But, again, it was just inconvenient, bad timing, but not the end of the world.
Right. Right. You got it back, and then you were so happy because it worked so well. And then you were just chugging along, and you got that binding done, and the quilting was so cute. So I can't wait till your friend gets that. She's going to be so happy.
I hope so. I know she will. She's a crazy cat lady, so she'll like it.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you're going to work on for the holidays in sewing or quilting?
I'm thinking about making a 1950s outfit.
Ooh.
I have this spectacular. You see how I choose my words carefully, because it is spectacular. I have this spectacular red Dupioni silk. And I was thinking about making a simple sheath dress with maybe a jacket that goes with it, like a crop jacket.
Yes.
So I don't know, either that or Yeah, it's funny because I was in the car today, coming back from work, and I was thinking, like, I really want to quilt something for the holidays. And then I have quilts I need to quilt. I have three projects right now that have been assembled. I have the tops, but they need to be quilted. So I've decided that I'm not going to do any new quilt. I have to finish those quilts. I have to. We call them UFOs.
Yep. Or whips.
Yeah.
It's just an ongoing work in progress.
Yeah, I got to finish those. I'm going to do that for the quilting part, but I really do want to make an outfit for the holidays this year, because I don't know what to do with that Dupioni silk. They were actually it's the remnants of my mother-in-law's former dining room curtains. And she had quite a lot. I just don't know if I have enough. I don't know. I have to count. I may have enough for the dress, but I may not have enough for a jacket.
Yeah,
We'll
but
see.
that sounds really beautiful. And and I love that you're repurposing the silk. That is so cool. And the other thing too is, and this is why, some people only quilt and that's all they do. They don't even want to look at anything like, apparel sewing and stuff like that. And other people are just apparel. But I like doing it all. And part of it is, a quilt can take you a long time. But if you make an outfit, or if you make, pants or a top, it's not instant gratification, but almost. It doesn't take as long.
Well, you see the results. You see the results of your labor pretty much. Well, you're right. It's not instant, but you see the progression. It's a much faster progression.
It is.
A quilt, you could be, before you assemble the top, if you do it block by block, you could be there for 2 months.
Yeah.
Before you can actually assemble, the top, especially if you do something very complicated, like Storm at Sea patterns, for instance, like the one I did with the Navy, the red, white, the patriotic.
Yes, yeah.
This one, you only see the actual top once you assemble all the blocks. Before that, it's just like blocks, one after the other. And you're like, oh my God, am I ever going to get to see this quilt top done? And it takes a long time. So quilting, by the time you start and you're done, it could take a very long time. And you have some people who would tell you, look, I've been working on this quilt for 3 years. And some folks just don't understand that. It's like, what do you mean 3 years? Is it, that's how long it took for me to get to that. It's true.
Yeah.
But you could put a dress, one of those simple 3-hole dress, like a sheath dress, in one afternoon.
Right.
With the lining.
Right.
Zipper, and you're done.
I know. I love it. So,
it's a different set.
I like it. Yeah. That's why I like the differences in those. And sometimes I need a fast finish versus something that's just methodically taking a long, long time. So, okay. Let's, we just got a couple more things and then, and I think, we'll be done, but, saving almost the best to last. Courting wear.
Yes!
Yay, courting wear. Oh my gosh. So you and your channel and your videos over the years have introduced me to courting wear. And it's so funny because courting wear has been around since long before I'm born. I really didn't know that much about it.
1958, if I recall.
Yeah. And actually I started to collect I like the Spice of Life pattern as well. I don't know. I was drawn to it. I like just the pattern of the fruits and the French writing on there as well. So I got my first 2 pieces, the real big 4 or 5 quart square Dutch oven thing. And then I got this little...
With the dome lid.
Yes, the dome lid. Yes, the dome lid.
Yeah.
And then the little, with the pour spout, a little petite, saucepan, which I intentionally wanted because in the winter I like to heat up milk and make hot chocolate with that. So yeah, so those are my first 2 pieces and only 2 pieces so far. But you have been collecting for a while, and just talk about what's so great about courting wear.
I got to think about it for a second. Aesthetically speaking, they're not particularly pleasing. It's not one of those things you go like, wow, these are great casseroles. Nobody looks at Corningware and is like, head over heels with them. But they have a retro charm. I think that everybody grew up with either a mom or a grandma who had Corningware in the house. And maybe they were using it, maybe they weren't, but when you opened that pantry or you opened that cabinet, there was always that piece of Corningware in the back. You remember that?
Yep.
And most people remember the blue corn flour more than anything else, because that was really the most popular one back then, and that was the original one. So there is nostalgia that's attached to it. And you know me, I love anything vintage. And we had them in France, but in France it's called pyroceram.
Okay.
Arcopal, is La Corelle. And we had different designs, but we used to have them, and we had the vision as well. And I was fascinated when I was a kid by the idea that you could take this casserole that was just like, you would cook food in it, just like the aluminum one or the cast iron one, but it could also go straight into the fridge, and you could put it under the cold water and nothing would happen to it. The other ones, I remember when I was a kid, my mom would tell me, listen, when you use the cast iron, you got to start with very low heat. Don't start with a high heat, because otherwise it will chip. And then same thing with specific pots that she had. If they were really, really hot, you couldn't put them under cold water right away. It would damage them. So you would have to let it stay on the stove and cool down before you could put it into the sink. But Corningware, you can put it straight into the freezer from the oven. Nothing happens to it, and they last literally forever. I have some who are the original ones. They're all numbered. They have a little code at the bottom. So, the avid collectors will tell you there's plenty of sites. They will tell you whether yours are the reprint or reedition or the ones from the 80s. So I have some of them that are actual Spice of Life from 1972 when they first issued them. You would not know that those things are 48 years old. They look brand new. And they've been used. They clean beautifully. They are super versatile. You can do cold dishes, hot dishes. You can put them in the oven, on the table, straight into the fridge. It's the end of the takeout leftover container. Everybody's talking about, let's get rid of plastic. Go to Goodwill, get yourself some old Corningware. They are just as good as Tupperware and all of those other dishes that we use to put our leftovers in. And at least it looks pretty.
And
when you open your fridge, and
they have a vast collection of pieces. I mean, they have all those, like you said, get rid of the plastic, and they've got these small, ones. You could stack them up. Yeah, the petites, they're really cute. But what drew me to that as well is when I saw you cooking the Dutch oven one on the open flame. And I was like, what is she doing? And then and then it was going to go from the cooktop to the oven. And I was just, from that point, I just started researching. I found one of those sites. I think there's like a 411 Corningware.
Corningware 411. Shane is the guy who does it. He has fabulous. You should, when you issue this podcast, you should put his website.
I will.
In there. Corningware 411. So if you're researching a specific pattern, or you have a pattern at home and you want to learn more about it, he will give you the table of pretty much every known pieces that was made in that specific pattern. So if you are an avid collector, you know which pieces you're missing.
Right. And
because he'll give you the codes with them. And then he writes articles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has recipes in there. I mean, he's fabulous. I love
It's
him.
so cool. I love that site. And I have to tell you that I have spent, boy, when I first discovered it, I spent hours on it. I was looking through all of the patterns and just learning about them. And it was just, yeah, it's so much fun. It's very fun for me. And then I got so excited when I got my first pieces. So I'm going to continue to collect that. And I saw one of those range toppers before you had that episode about it, and I wasn't sure. I was like, whoa, this round one, and it's got like the aluminum on the bottom, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't know, again, like, is that good? Is it bad or whatever? But then you got yours and you were so excited. So I'm like, oh, it's a good thing.
Yeah,
the
range toppers actually are really hard to find.
Yeah.
And they only did, I believe they only did the round ones, and they either had only 3 sizes or 4 sizes, and the one I found was the largest one, is the 5 quart. They really introduced them when they started pushing the electric coil stovetops.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there were some people that were complaining that there may be some, burning of the food at the bottom of the Corningware in spots. It would be like a couple of hot spots. It would still clean out beautifully, but they just didn't like it because you had to, scrub a little bit more than the usual. So there was, but Corningware has, if you go on YouTube, there's a plethora of videos about the Corning company and actually Corningware. And they had a test studio at Corning itself in the factory. And they would have women come in and they would ask them, would you prefer this? How about this design? And they were very in tune with the costumer base, and they only produced what they knew women. I mean, it's sexist, I know that, but back in the days, that's who the costumer base was. Women wanted in terms of cookware. So they heard them complain about those rare occasions where there would be a heat spot at the bottom of the pot, and they said, okay, fine. So let's do one with an aluminum bottom. And it's just as good. Mm-hmm. But it just has an aluminum bottom. And they only did the round casseroles. And I'm not sure why they stopped doing them. I'm sure Shane has an article about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they stopped doing them. But they're really hard to find. So if you ever find what they call or referred to as the range topper, which is basically your regular run-of-the-mill Corningware, but with the metal bottom, grab it.
Mm-hmm. Now I know. Grab it. Okay, good. And and even your husband seems to like cooking with it.
Listen, he every week now he's cooking solely with the Corningware. He really enjoys making the beans in it. But he's not as that, because, Sunday is burritos. So he makes beans on Sunday night. And he's noticed that it doesn't burn.
Yeah.
So his beans don't have this burnt aftertaste. And, he was kicking and screaming at first. Like, I don't want to use the Corningware. It's like nerdy. It was like...
or too froofy or something like that.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And then he used it once and he was like, yeah, I guess it's okay. And then I observed the use of it a second time.
Right.
Around. It's like, I guess it's a little bit better than okay, right? And I've stopped making comments because, let's face it, it's been months now. Every Sunday night, the beans are made in the Corningware pot.
Yeah.
It's the square one or the round ones. And it just makes me happy. And, this is really the point of having a collection. I don't care what you collect. People collect all sorts of things. And I always envied passionate collectors because they really, their life revolves around obtaining that one piece and the level that they're missing and the level of passion and knowledge and enthusiasm. I mean, why would you not want to have that in your life? This kind of enthusiasm about something.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, people make fun. They like, why are you even collecting that? That's so, weird.
Mm-hmm.
But think about the joy that it brings the collector.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
what do you care? Like the person is happy. Can you be happy
Mm-hmm.
for them? So,
Well, and I'll tell
people.
you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say that. So people collect all sorts of things, and that's the whole point of a collection, to use the things that you have. I
Right.
mean, yes, you have your best pieces that you absolutely like, your rare piece you don't want to break, but use your collections. And that's the one thing I love about my Corningware, is that I'm not an avid collector. I'm very a beginner collector of Corningware. I'm sure I'll get more pieces over the years. Am I going to get the full collection in that pattern? Probably not, and I'm okay with that. But I enjoy them and I use them.
Mm-hmm.
So they do serve a purpose in my life
That's
while they bring me a lot of joy.
that's what I love about it, is that you can use it. They're functional, and I think they're pretty, and easy to clean, and like you said, the versatility from cold
Mm.
to hot to flame. So yeah. Thanks for introducing me to that. But I was also going to say too that it's pretty affordable to collect those. And
Yes.
versus now, I have a little collection of Le Creuset because I love Le Creuset. I love that enamel cast iron cookware. But man, it is so expensive now. I'm
Yeah.
glad that I got the pieces that I did like 15 plus years ago, because
Mhm.
today I wouldn't be able to get them. They have just like
Yeah.
soared in price, but they're so great.
Yeah.
You cook those on a low heat as well, and they if you take care of them, they last forever, and they're pretty, and you collect your colors. But
What color do you have?
the red,
The red one?
and then I've also collect the red, and then there's this French blue that I love.
Oh, yeah,
So I've
that
got
is.
I've got both of those colors.
If you take care of it, they last a
They
lifetime.
do.
My grandmother had the original orange one,
Ooh.
and it had a couple of dings, where the enamel chipped. But that's, we're talking 40, 50 years of the same casserole. And she loved it so much. The bottom was almost like so scratched up from
Mhm.
all the cooking she had. But I remember the one time the knob on the lid broke. And I just realized that maybe this is my grandmother is the one who gave me the passion for fixing things. Because let me tell you, now that Le Creuset Dutch oven is in my mom's house, and my mom still uses it. The only difference is that it's got my grandmother's repair on it, which is basically twine with an old wine cork
Oh wow.
that she used
That's so
to
creative.
fix. Yeah, and it's still the same twine. It's still the same wine cork that she used. That she Rube Goldberg the whole thing, but it worked. She replaced the knob that was broken and missing And this is preceding the time where you could go on the internet and just order a new knob and a screw.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do that now.
Yeah,
If you
you
break your
can.
knob,
Yep.
you can order another one. You just got to screw it,
Mm-hmm.
back on. So you couldn't do those things back in those days. I'm thinking that was probably 1978, 1979. I
Mm-hmm.
remember vividly watching my grandmother pulling out the twine out of the drawer and an old cork that still had a little bit of purple on it from the bottle of wine. And she's doing this contraption on top of the lid. And guess what? She fixed it. And my
Oh,
mom still has it
I
all these
love
years.
it. That's so cool. See, because today, if something like that happens, we have such a disposable mentality, and I love, you know, you fix it. You don't just like get rid of it. It's perfectly good, and it's very good
Yeah.
quality too.
Today I would be
So,
finding it in the trash.
right, yeah, exactly, because there's no
And
knob
then I
on it.
would go
There's no
online, get
knob.
a new reference. Yeah, that's it. I would not really. I've
Oh,
seen similar ones, like the Martha Stewart's one,
mm-hmm.
uh, like that on the sidewalk. I don't pick them up because I already have a Dutch oven. I don't really need one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're
But
heavy. Those big ones are really heavy too. So the older I get, the heavier they get.
yeah, yeah, they're really happy.
Okay, one last thing. So with your Corningware, now you have quite a collection, and I love that you want to put it on display, and you have you had a single shelf, right, across your window above the sink. Really pretty,
Right.
really pretty. Well, you installed two more, right?
Two more.
Two
Yeah,
more
two more plus a
shelves.
temporary one that's going to be a
Yeah.
fourth one.
And you kind of like, just stained it the same as your kitchen cabinets. It looks like it was always there because they connect. And it's beautiful. I just was watching you place the pieces on there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's like, ah.
Well, because I think that collections need to be seen.
Yeah.
What's the point of having a collection of something if you're going to stash it away in in a basement or in a closet, and you only see it if you open a door or a double cabinet. So I really believe that if you're really passionate and enjoy something, put it on display. Put it on display. And I have to give a big shout out to all of my YouTube subscribers who sent me small pieces over the years, because they're really helping me build a collection. Like, it's a drought in Jersey when it comes to Corningware and Pyrex. Like, you can't find any of it at the thrift stores right now. It's very difficult. Like, I haven't seen a Corningware piece in at least a year and a half now. It's very difficult to find. But I have subscribers who know I collect, and they know that there's some pieces that are more available in the area than mine area, and they've been sending me those things that I know I would never find around here. Like the ketchup and mustard, or the salt and pepper, or what else? The newest one that's coming up on Friday, by the way, is me cooking with my Corningware on what they used to call the Electromatic, which was a hot plate that you put your Corningware on, and you could cook literally on it in the middle of the table.
Wow.
So I actually am making a pepper steak recipe in that. And it was, and so that one came out in 1972. And I guess they stopped doing it because, I don't know, they stopped doing it, but it's really, really vintage.
Wow.
It would be a vintage recipe, and the recipe actually comes from the original booklet that came with the heating plate. So the recipe is true vintage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I put the shelves up, and I needed to thank you, all of my subscribers who sent me pieces of Corningware in my pattern over the years, because they're really helping me build my collection. And when I'm standing at my sink and I'm doing dishes, or, preparing my tea or whatever, I just look up and I have my collection in front of me. And not just that, I have all of the pieces that were sent to me by subscribers. And it's a good feeling,
Yeah, you can just smile. It makes you smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah,
it's a connection
right.
that
Yeah.
I have with people.
Yeah, it's so cool that they do that, and they have sent you that. Not only that, though, someone sent you quilts, like full.
That's Bonnie, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Yeah. She did not make them. She didn't make the quilts. They were either gifts that were given to her, but she's an elderly lady. And she's letting go of a lot of stuff.
Oh.
So she gave me some quilts, and some of them were just like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, Bonnie, why are you sending me this quilt?
Yeah.
Like, it should be on your bed. And they are all handmade. Well, they are machine pieced, but they are hand quilted.
Oh, that's great.
And I have the double wedding ring on my bed right now.
That's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal
patterns.
quilt. What a great pattern.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have subscribers. I get a lot of letters, long letters, not just like a card that say, hey, thank you, I love your channel. I have made connections with so many of my subscribers, and we do send letters back and forth. They keep me updated with what's going on with their lives, the good and the bad. Sometimes it's a loss in the family and they want to share that with me, and I reply back, and I provide comfort and whatnot. Sometimes it's just like, hey, I finally got the job I was telling you about. So, like the old pen pal system. I don't even know if people do that anymore because we got emails now,
Yeah.
But I have made so many very rewarding and heartwarming connections with a lot of my subscribers that have been watching me for so many years. And it's almost like the family now, because I remember one in particular. The first time she wrote to me, she had difficulty having children. She couldn't have kids, and she's on baby number 3 now.
Oh wow!
So that tells you like how long this has been going on. That we send pictures for Christmas, the Christmas cards, and so it makes me very happy when I see my Corningware and some of the pieces were sent to me by these specific individuals. Like, it brings a smile to my face because I consider them, and I know it sounds weird, like you never met these people, but we know each other because we write to each other for quite some time now, and we go back and forth, and so it's almost like distant friendship. I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
No, I understand. Yeah,
it's very comforting. Like, it's like they are part of my collection too now.
Right. Yeah, it's very heartwarming. Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It really is. So it makes it all the more special. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to put it on display as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned them, and I like when I see that, that's exactly what I feel. Is it's heartwarming, and it just makes, and that's why I love your channel. It makes it special, and it's not just like, hey, I'm a YouTuber, I'm an influencer. You're there.
I am not. I don't know anybody who would be influenced by me. Maybe in purchasing more Corningware and tea, perhaps, but that's about it. I don't think I'm anything to admire. I just
no, but you're real, like the rest of us, and that's what we all love.
Right. I try hard.
Yeah.
That you can say. I do try hard to do different things, and again, my main goal with my channel was just to show women like me that they're not alone. Like, it's a challenge. It is. Like, the majority of us are not natural organizers. We're not natural cleaners. We're not natural, home decor designers. A lot of people struggle in all 3 areas. And it's okay.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I'm documenting my challenges and my struggles in that area because I want people to feel like, you're not alone.
Yeah, and I love that. And I have to tell you real quickly that you showed on your dining table and the other furniture that you use this Restore finish. And so I got it, and I used it on my black cherry wood bed and my dining table, and it's amazing. I'm just like, because I thought, like, from your videos, I was like, no way. How did she get that to look so gleaming and sparkling and new? Well, it really works. I got I did the lemon oil cleaning, I did the Restore finish, and I had the 000 steel wool to buff out some of the little scratches, and then I finished it off with that beeswax conditioner, and I was so proud of myself, and I'm like, Sophia would be so proud of me too.
Yeah, and again, this is another example where people would just throw away the dining room or the chair or the little side table because it's got scratches or watering. When you have a good piece of furniture, you take care of it. because you can pass it down to the next generations. And that's one of the things that really breaks my heart when I do my rounds on Tuesday night to go garbage picking. The amount of antique furniture that I find that I cannot take because I can't put them in my car. They're too big. You have to see the amount of antique furnitures that people throw away. We're talking 1930s, 1940s, Cascade, Art Deco.
I do know because
pieces.
because I am 2 days a week I do interior design for a high-end designer, and the projects that we do and the things that I see people discard and throw away. And actually that dining table that I have was free.
One of them.
It was one of them.
Right.
Gonna kick it to the curb.
I mean, keep it.
And this was book matched mahogany.
Right.
So, it breaks my heart. I really, because it's weird that generation above us they're starting to get rid of that really great stuff because they want to scale down, and they're just they want new stuff, and I don't know. And
they want the Instagram home.
and they're they want that, and their kids don't want the furniture, so All right. Well, let's mention your Etsy shop. You have an Etsy shop, and you put some of the things that you find in the thrift stores, and that they're vintage or collectible on your Etsy shop.
Right.
So it's Frenchie and Tubby on Etsy, and I'll put a link in the show notes to your shop.
I have a lot of things to put up on the shop. I've just been so busy. Because that's my third job now.
I know.
So it's just
so
it's
amazing.
A lot. But I promise before the holidays, because I know that people like to purchase things for gifts. I have a new batch coming up of really, really cool stuff. And pottery is something that I always look for. And I found some good pottery pieces.
Oh, good.
To put in the shop.
Yeah, and this episode's going to probably publish around the second week of December, so perfect timing.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, Sophia, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really just enjoyed talking with you, and love your channel, and just keep on being you.
I have no plan to change.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Make and Decorate podcast. The podcast is produced, recorded, and edited by Stephanie Socha. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.